How's it going, guys? Adrenaline Actual. Again, switching up some of the camera stuff, really just experimenting here. Kind of going back to what I was doing before, and maybe we'll do some post audio later. Today we're going to be doing a fix for some of these two-part barrels or two-piece barrels. A lot of these high-quality companies, high-quality external companies are moving to a two-piece system. Whereas before they would ship them with one piece. It's much cheaper to create this piece and then add whatever length to this piece that they would like. In this particular instance, it's like a 10.5 barrel where they could do like a 14.5 or whatever else in the future. So unfortunately, this two-piece barrel system does cause issues over time, especially if you're running a suppressor, or you really play kind of on the harder end of things. This will eventually come loose. That could cause issues where this whole piece with your suppressor included slide off. You lose it in the woods, whatever. I've kind of developed a method where by epoxying it really becomes a one piece. I haven't noticed any issues with any of the ones that I've done coming loose after that. Some of the materials you're going to need, or equipment rather, you're going to want some 5-minute epoxy. Any epoxy will do. I like the clear and I like the 5-minute. You're going to need the tool to take down whatever set screws are present. You're going to want a paint marker or some way to identify on the barrel that when you go to assemble, it's in a straight line. It's in its correct orientation. And then a clamp. You could figure out some different methods, whether that be with some straps or whatever. These are pretty cheap. It comes with 2 large, 2 small at a set at Home Depot, and it's like 38 bucks. Versatile use, so yes, it's a cost that you might not have expected to incur while doing this sort of project, but they really pay for themselves. So let's get right into it. We're going to start by marking out on the barrel a reference point to identify when we are epoxying that it goes back to normal, goes back to center. There you can see I've made a reference line, and again, just to clarify, these set screws will not be in it when you are setting it with the epoxy. So you can line it up with the hole with your eye, but that's just another reference point to make sure you're basically setting it correctly. That'll take a few minutes to dry. In the meantime, we'll remove our set screws. Do retain these. You're going to need these. Just adds another bit of just another, whatever, more security. Now that we have them separated, it's important to block both of the ends of the inner barrel, where the inner barrel lies on the outer barrel, as well as whatever they call this, receiver block or whatever, receiver chamber. You want to block that so that when you do connect them, no excess epoxy comes through. I just use some sort of tape usually. You can use cloth, whatever works. It is kind of a pain in the ass to get out. You have to use a long screwdriver, but you'll figure it out. You definitely would rather struggle getting this out than getting epoxy in there, because that'll be a whole different situation. A little bit of oversight on my part. I forgot that I like to mask off both the two pieces at its joining point, just to alleviate any excess JB getting on the outer barrel. So we're gonna redo this real quick, mark it back up, take it down, and then we're ready for epoxy. Now, you do not have to sand the inner portion of the outer barrel, but you can, you know, if you really think that it would make a difference. I mean, it certainly would make a difference. It would absolutely make a better bond, but you don't necessarily need to. So that's an extra step you can take if you really are concerned. Let's remark this real quick. Anywhere on the barrel works, as long as it's a good reference line. That's a good reference line. Again, and I don't feel bad for reiterating, because if you do try to do this, you're going to want to take your time on this step. If epoxy leaks into here, you're going to have to figure out the correct size of drill, or really get in there and file that epoxy down. You're going to cause, you know, undue damage to the external barrel. It'll just suck. Take your time. That looks good. So we are going to mix up our epoxy. Equal parts of epoxy. All right, now that you got your epoxy mixed up, you want it to be well and thoroughly mixed. We will add not too much, and you kind of want to add it to the distal end of the inner barrel, not the proximal being close, distal end being far. That way it kind of alleviates when you squish it, it getting into that first piece of the two-piece barrel, a piece that actually slides into the receiver. Okay, we'll wipe off some of this external excess. All right, now we take our clamp, okay, everything's lined up, we got it nice and centered. Since we squished it again, you're going to get some more excess. Wipe it off, keep it off the workbench, keep it off the outer barrel. Now that it's crimped, we will double check our set screw holes, see if we could actually see the marring on the internal piece. We can't, that's fine. We are going to set these set screws anyway. Set screws are set. Now all we have to do is wait. I usually will revisit it in a few hours. I definitely give it more than 5 minutes to set. So like I said, you know, 5, 10, 15 minute epoxy, whatever you want to choose, you can go for that. I would just give it some extra time to really make sure it sets before you end up farting around with it, attaching the suppressor or anything like that. So thanks for checking in with me, guys. You know, if there's something, if there's a question you might have about this process, feel free to ask me. This is definitely a modification that I will do going forward to any of my outer barrels that have two pieces to them. I've seen this guy in particular, the owner of this gun, when he first started out, I recommended a specific replica on the lower end of things. He ended up losing his whole outer barrel out of this second portion here, or first portion here. Never recovered it, and I think pretty much everybody I've known that has had a VFC that's ran with me has had this issue where you have to go back and constantly tighten these set screws. And this is going to alleviate that. Since doing this to my own replicas, I haven't had any issues with loosening. So this is probably going to be the new setup. Inside, more quiet, more comfortable. So I'm probably going to reshoot some of the videos that I've already shot that I would promise to release like 2 months ago. Better quality, and we're going to go from there. So thanks very much, guys. Have a good one.